What's up, guys? Today is Spooky Scary Sunday. So it's when people come around, grab some snacks, eat a bag, eat crab legs, whatever. So the first video will be popping up in 3 seconds. But yeah, leave a like button and also subscribe. So see you in the video. Alright, guys. This video is called Among Us, but it's real life horror animation. Alright, we'll be reacting to this right now, and here we go.
The flu vaccine is more important than ever to reduce the risk of...
Right now I'm standing in a pool of blood. A woman that was wearing a yellow jumpsuit in front of me. I shot her because I was sure that she was the imposter. There are only 3 of us still alive. I don't know where we are. Only the story of how we got here. I'm going to try and tell it to you now, before it's too late. Before you wind up in this deadly game the same way we did. Playing online games is what helped me get through this pandemic. The recent sensation of Among Us was my personal go-to for a release from the frantic crises of everyday life. Eventually, I started to play it on a daily basis and joined servers online to get involved in competitions. It was amazing to me how many people were enjoying this game and getting into it. I was meeting people from around the world. As much as I like doing stuff through a computer screen, it doesn't compare to real life though, which I occasionally expressed in chat. I guess that's where this whole thing started. One user, Dr. Alvin348, sent me a DM. I don't remember the exact wording, but he told me that him and a few others were trying to put together a competition that was a little higher stakes, as he called it. If I was interested, all I had to do was click the link. It seemed like harmless fun, so I clicked on the link. I was surprised to see it take me to what looked like a deep website. I thought about clicking away, until I saw a few familiar profiles from my usual Among Us server. Then Dr. Alvin348 explained why we were there. All of you have shown exceptional skills online. This game is something that has really brought us together, so I want to take it to the next level. I propose that we stage a game of Among Us in real life, just between us. And we all donate to a pool where we can win real money. Survivor takes all. We made an opening bid of offering $100 to the pot. Others kind of felt the pressure to say yes. One user, though, Hannah23, had a few questions. How is this whole thing going to work? We don't even live anywhere near each other, she pointed out. Dr. Alvin seemed to have an answer for everything. He encouraged all of us to consider this as an investment. He could handle everyone's travel expenses. He assured us he would be fine. As they might say in the game, I had no reason to think he was sus. I gave in when others signed up for the game. I figured it was better than being stuck at home. I boarded a plane in the early morning. I messaged the game master and told him I was preparing to leave. He reminded me that someone would be picking me up from the airport. And I heard from a few other players who also said they were on their way to...
So guys, this person is playing Among Us in real life. So how is this exactly going to work? He explained that. But how they going to be the imposter and kill the people's stuff? Whatever they're going to do is probably not going to be good. But that's their funeral. Alright.
Game location. Supposedly, we were going to meet in Jersey, or around that area. I landed and got in a cab. The driver had a placard with my name on it. Inside the cab, on the seat, was a white jumpsuit, identical to the kind you see in the game. Mr. Alvin would like you to put that on, the driver told me. He refused to even drive away until I agreed, and so I zipped up. When the zipper got to the top, I heard a click. The next thing I remembered, I was in a dark room. I figure I must have been drugged, or the suit had some kind of sleeping chemicals in it. All I knew for sure was that all of my personal belongings had been taken, and it seemed that I couldn't get out of the suit. I tried pulling on the zipper, but it seemed to be locked in place. I don't normally panic, but I was starting to feel like this was from a Saw movie rather than a fun game. The intercom came to life a few seconds after I woke and announced that the game would begin in a few moments. The game master had supplied us with 2 guns and a knife, and quickly explained how that our goal was to find the imposter among us in the allotted time, or die trying. An alarm went off and the door to my room opened as I moved onto a central hub area. Several other guests arrived from different corridors, all seemingly as confused as I was, and apparently also being forced to wear these ridiculous costumes. "Alvin, this is going too far," the man in the red suit said. The intercom didn't respond, so I figured we had time to work out a plan. "Does anyone remember seeing any vents or crawl spaces out of here?" a woman in a green suit asked. All of us agreed that by working together, we could avoid any problems. After all, it seemed apparent at the time that the game master was the one pulling our strings. The red suit and turquoise agreed to scout the underground lair for ways out as the rest of us waited. A short time later, only the red suit returned. He was covered in what looked like brain splatter under his suit. "He tried to turn his gun on me. It was self-defense," he shouted as he rushed towards me. We urged him to calm down. We all went to check out the crime scene. As we got to the turquoise suit, and I turned him over, I felt an overwhelming sense of doom swallowing me. It was apparently the man that had brought us here, Dr. Alvin. I recognized his face as matching the profiles online. So wait, if he is dead, then who was running the game? Yellow Suit asked. All of us began to look at each other suspiciously, but Green Suit insisted there was no need to panic. "He probably just wanted to be part of the sick fun. What a psycho. All we need to do is focus on getting out of here," Green said. We were all in agreement with that. So it was decided that we would split up and search the murky corridors. The place was deafeningly silent. Each step I took down a dark hallway caused a loud echo, making it a tad disorienting to determine if there was any threat nearby. Occasionally I saw the red blink of the camera and realized that maybe Green was wrong. Maybe someone was still watching us. Eventually I came back to the main hub and checked the gear that the others had brought with them. Conveniently, no one
Hold
had
on,
been allowed
guys.
to
I'm back.
outside. Chances for escape seemed less likely the more time passed, and eventually Green, Red, and Blue returned to the main room. "Hey, where's Yellow?" I asked. None of them seemed to know, and I cursed to myself. "Maybe they found a way out," Red suggested. "Or they are in trouble," I muttered. We split up again, and I called out, trying to get a response. The tight, cramped tunnels felt especially cramped the more I weaved through them. Claustrophobic feelings settled in quickly. Then I rounded a corner and saw Yellow holding a knife, standing over Blue. Blue was barely breathing, choking on his own blood when I saw him. I acted on instinct alone and grabbed one of the knives that I had been given, heading straight toward Yellow. Just as I was about to hit her, she turned around and I saw a look of shock in her eyes. The knife pierced straight through her jumpsuit. "What the f—" she gasped as she tried to stab me back. I don't really know what came over me. Call it a survival instinct, I guess. But I blindly started swinging my blade. Eventually it severed her vocal cords and she couldn't seem to stand properly. She collapsed to the ground motionless next to me. I stood there, trying to even fathom what I had just done. Red and Green arrived from the sounds of the screams. "What the hell did you do, man?" Green snarled as he checked them both for vitals. She killed Blue. She was the imposter," I said. It felt almost silly to use in-game jargon for something so serious, but I couldn't think of any other way to explain what had just happened. Green shook his head. "No, Blue here was choking on his oxygen cord. I think she was trying to cut it loose," he remarked. "What? No, that can't be right," I said. I dropped my own weapon, shocked that I hadn't seen it sooner. But another wave of dread washed over me as I realized there was no way Blue could have accidentally gotten his cord wrapped around him. "Someone else sabotaged this, wanted me to think she was an enemy," he said. Red and Green shared a wary glance, and then Red commented, "I think you are the imposter, White. You killed, choked Blue, and killed Yellow. For all we know, you could be the imposter," I snapped back. "How so?" asked Red. "What do you mean, how so? You walked away with Turquoise and he ended up dead. How do you even explain that?" I replied. "Let's forget about all this drama. You sound sincere and believable. How about let's all just work together? We can't beat this sick game by ourselves," Red said. I stepped away, too paranoid to trust them, and insisted on going alone from here on out. I knew one of them had to be the imposter. The two eventually conceded to my request, and I rushed down the opposite corridor. This place is a labyrinth. It's got to be underground or maybe deep ocean. Heck, it could even be that we really were shot into space, and I wouldn't know. I've weaved through every nook and cranny, only occasionally running into red or green, and then of course the other bodies. It's obvious we aren't getting out of here. The three of us met up in the main hub about 5 hours later, exhausted, tired, and defeated. But there was one bit of good news. Red said that he found a phone. I don't know if someone dropped it or left it for us to find, he said, showing us. We tried to call 911, but that didn't work. So instead, we have been browsing the internet, searching for some way that maybe we can get out of here. But it feels like we can't sleep either, because I truly don't know for sure if I can trust these people. They haven't done anything yet to each other, but that could also be because they are waiting for an opening. I feel trapped. I think that it's likely we won't be alive by morning, or at least two of us won't. All I can think to do now is warn others to steer clear of advertisements for real games like this. It isn't worth it. And to be wary of those who call friends. You never know when there might be a psycho among you. Thanks for watching. You can watch another scary animation here. Also, don't forget to subscribe and to hit that notification bell.
Woo! A great one. Make sure you guys support this channel too for all its support and stuff. And get ready for the next video.
Open your eyes.
Here go a video called Jawbreaker 2. Let's
It's
see.
time to witness perfection.
What's going on?
We are here to complete what we started.
Let me go!
We have been pushed beyond the point of no return, Kevin. Outcasted by all of those we so desperately wanted to be a part of. But you, Kevin, you were the one who was so cruel to us. And that's why you are here today.
Let me go, dorks! You're gonna pay for this!
Oh, I have paid, Kevin. I am blinded by the beautiful truth. And you are still lying to yourself in the darkness.
What is the truth?
Truth belongs to those who seek it. And I have been searching for it a long time. My truth is retribution. Ed, bring me his jaw.
Just hold on a second. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for being so rude to you guys all these years, I swear.
Kevin. It's okay. Silence now. You are going to give back to us far more than you could ever know. Don't be afraid, Kevin. Enjoy this moment. It is so much more vibrant than the darkness that awaits you. I will give you this moment to cherish this. That is my gift to you. Existence is behind you now, Kevin. Enjoy the silence. The taste of retribution sure is sweet.
Gross! Alright, we're gonna do one last one and then I'm in the video. For the last video, guys, we will be going on this channel again to see another video. So let's get started.
Dr. Nicely.
Serial killers worldwide are connected by a hidden website, the dark web. Where do I even begin? My name is Dylan Reeves. Well, it all started for me during my sophomore year in college. I was an introvert and kept to myself. My anxiety was always an issue for me. Weed was the best remedy. It kept me sane. It allowed me to function normally in society. Without it, I don't know how I would operate. Unfortunately, weed was illegal at the time. About once a week, I had to go to this sketchy drug dealer's house to get my supply. His name was Chase. All the homes in his neighborhood either had boarded up windows or bars on them. I usually walked to Chase's house, since it was only 5 minutes from my dorm. One particular day, I walked to his house to pick up an ounce of weed. It was a gloomy winter day. During this particular walk, I felt this ominous feeling in the air, almost as if I knew something bad was going to happen. I passed this rundown house that I always thought was abandoned. To my surprise, someone was staring at me from one of the shattered windows. His appearance was rough. He had dirt all over his face and wore a tattered white beater. I made eye contact with him. He started to smile at me with these crazy eyes. I quickly picked up my pace and started jogging. I knocked on Chase's door, but he didn't answer. His car was in the driveway, and I wasn't taking any chances with the crazy guy outside, so I just helped myself in. After opening the door, I knew something was wrong. All the lights were off, and it was eerily silent. Suddenly, I heard Chase yell, "Hands up!" The lights turned on, and Chase was pointing an AK-47 at me. He said, "Jesus, kid, I almost shot you. You can't just come in like that, especially after..." Angry and frightened, I yelled, "What the hell, man? Especially after what?" He stopped and said, "Oh, it's nothing. Your weed is right here." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a Ziploc bag with the weed inside. Outside of the house, I heard a car accelerating around a corner. The tires were screeching. Chase yelled, "Get down!" I dropped to the floor. Next thing I knew, bullets were flying into the house from the car driving by. Then silence. We stayed on the floor motionless for the next hour. When it felt safe, I called my friend to pick me up and got the hell out of there. The police never even showed up. That's how bad this area was. I promised myself I would never buy drugs in person again, not after that experience. A few weeks went by, and I was itching to buy more weed. My friend suggested I try the dark web. He said it was easy to do, and it would ship right to my dorm. A few online tutorials later, I was buying my first gram of weed on the dark web. 1 week later, the drugs came vacuum sealed inside of a box. Quickly, I jumped on my computer and ordered more. Months went by, and I never had any issues. One night, I just couldn't fall asleep. I hopped on my desktop and logged onto the dark web marketplace I used. I began scrolling past different weed strains to the more hardcore drugs. I knew I'd never buy them, but it was interesting seeing all the stuff you could actually buy. I kept scrolling, looking through the endless possibilities. Most people only think you can buy drugs on the dark web, but this marketplace had boats, planes, and cars for pennies on the dollar. All most likely stolen. But nonetheless, it was cool to scroll through. I finally stopped my nightly search, turned off my computer, and prepared for bed. While clearing my bed, I glanced back at my computer. It was still on. I thought to myself, I swore I powered it down. Maybe not. It was a long day. Probably just a brain glitch. As I approached my computer, it showed the same dark web screen as before. Right before closing out of the browser, I noticed something odd. The top of the screen had a banner ad on it. It was a picture of a bowl of cereal. Next to the bowl of cereal was a handgun. The price said $9,999.99. This whole thing struck me as bizarre, almost as an impossibility. There aren't supposed to be any advertisements on the dark web. My curiosity took over me. I couldn't just leave it alone.
Hold on,
I had
guys.
to click on the...
Our guy's back. Let's finish reacting.
This whole thing struck me as bizarre, almost as an impossibility. There aren't supposed to be any advertisements on the dark web. My curiosity took over me. I couldn't just leave it alone. I had to click on the ad. The page brought me to a generic login screen. It didn't have any title or anything. It just asked for a username and password. Right before giving up, I just typed admin for both the username and password and clicked login. To my shock, it said success, and the page loaded in front of me. When the page fully loaded, I wasn't quite sure what I was seeing. The site had 3 tabs at the top of the screen. The tab on the left said profiles, the one in the middle said current tasks, and the tab on the far right said live auction. Curious, I clicked on the profile tab first. Almost immediately, my screen was filled with people's faces. I clicked on an older gentleman's face. Immediately, a more detailed profile opened. Below his picture was his name, age, current address, habits, difficulty, and reward. His name was Gary. He was 56 years old. Under the habits section it read, Gary walks his dogs exactly at 9 a.m. in his neighborhood. He walks them later in the day at 3 p.m. and one last time at 9 p.m. before bed. Every Saturday, he goes to the local grocery store at 11 a.m. Under difficulty, it said, easy. Lastly, the reward was listed at $14,000. I closed out of his profile. I didn't know what to think. I wondered what the reward was for. Was this a human trafficking site? It couldn't be, because the profiles were mostly males. I became more intrigued by the second. I clicked on the live auction tab. The page looked like any other chat room. There were usernames on the sidebars. A quick glance at the usernames made me uneasy. Serial Killer 23, Hitman John, Cleanup Crew 2, and Killing Spree, just to name a few. Those were the ones that stood out as odd. Others were relatively normal. A picture began to load in front of me. The picture was of a man who looked to be in his mid-30s. Below his picture were the same details as before on the profile tab. It had his name, age, address, habits, difficulty, and reward. His name was Pete. He was 36. Under habits, it said every day Pete drives to get his morning coffee at 8 a.m. Next to difficulty, it said hard, and that Pete was likely armed as he was a member of the NRA. Right next to his picture, a dollar amount loaded. It said, starting at $40,000. Messages began flooding in. Hitman John messaged, I will end that guy for $30,000. Cleanup Crew 2 chimed in and said, I will do it for $25,000. A user by the name of Raining Death said, I'll do it for $20,000, and I won't leave a mess like Cleanup Crew 2 did last time. Cleanup Crew 2 quickly responded. Well, my last contract was an ex-KGB agent, so not the easiest guy to finish off. It hit me like a ton of bricks. This was a site for serial killers and hitmen. Or this was the sickest joke of all time.
It's that easy.
Yeah, it's that easy, Grandma.
Oh my god. My Nana looks incredible. I love that hair. Anyone can do it.
I hate ads, guys.
For a while, nobody said a word in the chat. Someone with a username of moderator said, anyone have a better bid? Going once, going twice. The contract is sold to Raining Death. The moderator then typed, since this is a tougher client, I will allow you 2 weeks to finish the deed. Some time passed. The moderator typed in the chat, Moderator 2, I see you're in the room. Please take over and handle the next few auctions. I went on the sidebar and scrolled down. Moderator 2 was highlighted for some reason. I typed the letter F into the chat box out of curiosity. The username Moderator 2 popped up next to the chat box. I realized I was Moderator 2. My heart dropped. What if I closed my computer and just logged out? Maybe they would track me down. How did a serial killer site have such a vulnerability where admin works for the username and password?
What the
Someone made a
freak?
serious mistake. If this site was legitimate. I played along. I responded in the chat. Sounds good. I will take over. The next profile that automatically loaded in the auction was an older guy with a beard, age 65. Gets the morning paper at 10 a.m. Difficulty level easy. The starting bid is $15,000. Cleanup crew 2 quickly typed, I'll do it for $10,000. Nobody else responded. I didn't know what to do. I right-clicked Cleanup Crew 2's username. It had a few options, ban, mute, and assign task. I didn't want to be responsible for killing anyone. I right-clicked my own name and clicked assign. Another option came up for allowed time. I put in 1 year and clicked OK. Messages began flooding the chat room. Raining Death said, "A moderator isn't supposed to assign himself to a person. That's not how the system is set up." Cleanup Crew 2 typed, "And a 1-year contract? This guy isn't a politician. Something is up with this moderator 2 guy. I've never seen this happen before." Hitman John replied, "Definitely an undercover. Quick, get moderator 3 in the room to fix this now." My stomach dropped, and anxiety flooded my body in anticipation of what was to come. A notification popped up that moderator 3 joined the room. Serial Killer 23 typed, "Moderator 2 is an imposter. Delete him from the site and fry his PC." Moderator 3 said, "Working on it." Moderator 3 responded, "Haha, the IP pings to a college. His name is Dylan Reeves. Here is a picture." I didn't know what to do. I felt powerless. My whole body was shaking. Messages began filling the chat. Serial Killer 23 typed, "I'll end him for $500. Raining Death replied, "I'll do it for only $250. All of a sudden, my computer started glitching out. Black command prompt boxes started filling my screen, and all of a sudden my computer's power surged and everything went black. I tried turning my computer back on, but with no luck. I immediately called 911. They sent 2 special agents to my dorm the next day. I told them everything and gave them my computer. They told me they knew of the site and had been trying to access it for years. Since the incident, I've had several attempts on my life. I had to completely change my identity and move out of the country. Never go on the dark web. Thanks for watching. You can watch another scary animation.
Alright guys, that would be it for now. Leave a like, subscribe, and get the notification. And that will be it. Peace.
What you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be